Have you ever looked at a luxury item with a crazy price tag and just wondered why? On one hand, they're these symbols of success we all kind of aspire to, but on the other, they can feel pretty exclusive. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and figure out why these things have such an incredible hold on us. Let's get right into it.
It all boils down to a really simple, almost absurd question, right? Why on earth would someone pay $500 for a scarf? I mean, think about it. It's a piece of fabric. Its job is to keep your neck warm, yet it can cost as much as a round-trip flight. That's the core mystery we're going to unravel today.
And here's where it gets really interesting. When you lay it all out, side by side, the paradox is just staring you in the face. On a purely practical level, these two scarves are basically the same. Same high-quality material, same job. The $50 scarf's value is obvious. It's useful. So, where does that extra $450 of value come from in the luxury one? It just doesn't seem to make any rational sense.
To understand that massive price gap, we have to stop looking at the object itself and start looking inside our own minds. Turns out, it's not really about what we buy, it's about why we buy it. And this is where the whole psychology of luxury spending really comes into play. So, researchers have pretty much boiled it down to three key psychological drivers. First up, you've got status signaling, using an item to broadcast your wealth and where you stand socially. Then there's emotional gratification. We buy these things to reward ourselves, to say, hey, I made it. It's a form of self-care. And third, and this one is so powerful, is scarcity and exclusivity. The simple fact that it's hard to get makes us want it that much more.
But it's not just about what's going on inside our own heads. All these individual feelings and desires, they actually plug into a much bigger social system. Luxury operates with this kind of hidden set of rules, a social code that, deep down, we all seem to understand without ever being taught.
In fact, there's a name for this whole phenomenon. Over 100 years ago, an economist named Thorstein Veblen called it conspicuous consumption. He argued that all this spending on super expensive stuff isn't really about personal enjoyment. It's more of a public performance, a way to make your economic power visible for everyone else to see.
And that's the real social function of this performance. Luxury brands essentially become gatekeepers. They create a sort of exclusive club. For the people inside, it's a way to set themselves apart. And for everyone else, it's something to aspire to. It reinforces this whole social hierarchy of who's in and who's out.
So here's a wild thought. If the value isn't actually in the material, but in the social signal it sends, well, then the price itself becomes a key feature of the product. Let's really put that theory to the test and look a little closer at the numbers.
Okay, this number is pretty wild. 10 to 20 times. That's the typical markup on luxury goods compared to what they actually cost to make. And this isn't just a guess. Consumer advocates exposed this. It is definitive proof that you are not just paying for nice materials or expert craftsmanship. Not even close.
But you know what's even crazier? Even after these huge markups were revealed, the luxury market just kept on growing. Why? Because the customers already knew what they were buying. The value was never really in the fabric. It was always in the symbolism. People were knowingly and willingly paying for the story and for the status.
This leads to a really fascinating thought experiment. If that sky-high price is exactly what creates the exclusive symbolic value in the first place, what do you think would happen if a brand just decided to get rid of it?
Well, it would be a complete and total disaster for the brand's value. You'd see this catastrophic chain reaction. The second the prices drop, the item is suddenly accessible to way more people. The moment that happens, the exclusivity collapses. The club isn't a club anymore. And without that exclusivity, the item completely loses its power to signal high status. The very thing people were paying all that money for would literally just evaporate.
Which brings us right back to where we started, with that simple scarf. I think by now it's pretty clear that the person buying it isn't just looking for something to keep them warm. So we have to ask the bigger question, what is actually being sold here?
And here it is. This is the ultimate takeaway. You're not buying high-quality wool. You are buying into a story, into a brand's legacy. You're buying a powerful symbol of success, of taste. And, maybe most importantly, you're buying your perceived place within this really complex social ladder. You are buying an identity.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Imagine you have that $500 scarf. Now, picture taking it and just carefully removing the brand label.
The quality, the warmth, the material, it's all still there, right? But is it still worth $500? If that little symbol disappears, does all of that perceived value just vanish right along with it?